Hello out there. We're on the air. Happy Easter Monday, folks. Oh, I got the wrong microphone. Good thing I checked. Let me know if that's let me know if you can hear me out there, wherever you're watching from. Oh, we got a good crowd in here today. Yes, we got Killer 76, the first of the day. This was probably 15 seconds after I pressed schedule. So shout out to Killer 76. Killing it. Laugh pad. Good freaking morning. New global M2 all-time high today. Crazy, eh? It's coming. There's a lot of reasons for that. Global liquidity being one of them. But anyways, I feel so deeply about that I decided to bring out the orange sweater. I haven't had this one for a while. So you never know. It's usually a good sign when this hoodie comes out. So we'll see what plays out. Speaking of that, seeing things play out, buck 52. Good morning. I think we got a chat this week coming up, right? Is that this week? I don't know. Hopefully. Letha, good morning. Good to see you, Letha. Letha posted a very cute picture of some dogs yesterday. Got me fired up. About 10 puppies? Were those yours, Letha? Or were they friends or family? Anyways, really good to see. Can't have too many dogs in this world. Mark, good morning. Frank, good morning, Jordan. Family sats are still affordable. Keep stacking. They're extremely affordable still. That is absolutely true. Rick Costa, good morning. Smash the like yet? I saw there was not a whole lot of like smashing going on this morning. I think there was about one. Yeah, likes are down. Stocks are down. Likes are down. Bitcoin's up. Vitali, 2.8 million sats I have. Is that good? Is good. Well, I'll defer to Lapad for this one. The number one rule in Bitcoin, as we know, never tell anybody, especially not YouTube, how much Bitcoin you have. But yes, if you got 2.8 million sats, I mean, it depends on your time frame, right? If you're going to spend them tomorrow, let's maybe get you a couple tires. But if you hang on to those sats for a couple decades, it might buy you a whole town. We'll see. BTC decoupling. What the heck? How come I can't share that note? Stocks down, Bitcoin up. Sounds good. Audio good. Good. Thank you, Rick. Laughpad says it's okay to talk about Bitcoin, just never talk about your Bitcoin. Yes, great advice. Great advice. All right, let's share this with Noster. Let's see what's going on over in Nosterland today. I got a couple good topics I want to talk about today. By the way, this is the Daily Bitcoin Journey. 5 minutes late. This show focuses on actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. We are live. Somebody made a comment on the YouTube channel yesterday on the first stream we ever did. Went back and watched a couple of minutes of it. It was pretty pretty rough. But I mean, that's the case. That's the case with anything in life. You always have to the first thing that you do is always going to be the worst thing that you do. And it's going to be bad for a while, whether that's a new product, whether that's starting a YouTube channel, anything. It's always, you have to get the bad ones out of the way. So anyways, I went back and watched a couple minutes of that, and pretty good. It's been 314 episodes since then. So we're finally starting to get things figured out here slowly. All right. Ian says, good morning, everyone. And Jor, happy Easter. We will rip Jor. We will rip Jor. Oh, yes. We will rip. Jor got his lucky orange hoodie on. Yeah, I thought twice about it today because I really don't want Bitcoin to rip that much anyways. I still got a lot of allocating to do. But it's not up to me. All right, Paul, good morning. Morning, soldiers. A friend of a friend. So adorable. Oh, yes. It's too bad, Letha. I thought those were yours. Still, they kind of look like labs, but also a couple of them look like Arnie. They were white puppies. Speaking of puppies, today is over on Zapstream. Today is for the rescue dogs. So every Monday, actually, I forgot last Monday. Oops. Realized that after. Realized that the next day. Realized that I forgot to talk about it. So, and I still haven't done the UTXO yet. I don't think. Anyways, this is our current balance in the rescue dog fund. Ready? 501,139. That is as of April 7th. We didn't do last week, and today's 21st. Yes, that's right. 501,000 sats have been donated to the rescue dog fund. That is incredible. So big shout out to everybody who has supported that. The zaps today will be going towards that fund as well. And we're going to change a lot of dog lives with that fund. And it looks like we got a zap over in the zap stream. Lopad, 888 sats. Fat zap. Make sure I don't miss any here. Hey, this one's not even connected to the internet. What? Wi-Fi off. There we go. And we got Bodie. Tom, sorry, missed you. Bodie's in the chat. Good morning. War Room says strategy should be up $28 based on the Bitcoin move up. Yeah, it doesn't take much, eh? It doesn't take much in Bitcoin to move strategy. I think I might be allocating a little bit more to strategy. They bought some more Bitcoin today, I saw. Is it 5,600? 5665? J-Dog, good day, Bitcoin Squad. The pattern is for every $100 Bitcoin goes up, strategy goes up $1. I guess we'll see. Are the markets open? Should be. Let's check to see if that's the truth. Looks like Bitcoin's humming a bit today. The market must have seen the orange hoodie this morning. MicroStrategy stock. Yeah, it's up 5% today. Looks like it's the not quite the high for the last month. Seems to be moving though. Buck 52 says had dinner with some friends. They were asking about financial advice. I said I like things outside the system, things like Bitcoin that are up 1,000% over 5 years. They said, how can I get some? Nice. That's a rare story. Usually they change the conversation and say, but did you see the game last night? War Room says strategy is lagging behind Bitcoin. Yes, it is, by the looks of it. Okay, well, we got a good crew over in the Zap stream this morning. If you're watching on Zap stream, say hi. Let's get, or maybe my chat's just behind here. Either way, here's a good question. Stempel Koski. Should I refinance my vehicle and save the difference in Bitcoin? Interest is 3.9%. I have 3 years left to pay it off. Thoughts on stretching it to 5 to pour a couple hundred extra into Bitcoin per month? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's really no reason not to. Right? Like, what's the worst case? I mean, it's the same with a house too. It's the same with a house. Anytime you can get free money and buy Bitcoin, take it. Whether that's vehicle loans, mortgages, I wouldn't say credit cards, but 0% credit cards maybe. I don't know enough about credit cards. It's a little bit different here in Canada, I think, than it is in the US. So I don't really want to comment on that. But it seems like there's strategies to obtain a bunch of money, buy Bitcoin, and then pay it off with other things. But I'm not well versed enough to talk about it, so I'm not going to. But yeah, I like that move. I think that over these next couple months, I'd say from April until August are going to be the best opportunity that you'll ever have to stack more Bitcoin. After that, I think it's going to be sayonara. Whatever you have, you're going to look at your wallet one day, and whatever you have is going to be pretty much the most you'll ever have. Pretty much. It's not going to go up very much. If you spend some, it's going to go down a bit, but it's never going to go up very much. And that's been the case with every cycle. And it will continue to get less and less. So yes, I like that move. Clean your machines in the chat. Good morning. Tom says, trying to explain to my wife why it's better to buy more Bitcoin and stretch out the mortgage similarly. Yeah. It's very objective math. I mean, historically anyways, it's hard to predict for sure what's going to happen into the future. But historically, Bitcoin has returned about 50 to 60% every year. So that's how much you're making. That's in 50 to 60% per year. On the other side, you're looking at interest at 3.9%, maybe 3% on a house. I guess if you renew, though, it might be a bit higher. But even up to 10%, that's still a huge spread there. Making 60%, spending 10%. It's pretty big. Seems like a no-brainer. I'd say the only key to doing something like that is not so much about the interest rate. Obviously, if it's above 10, then you might be running into a bit of issue. But the big thing there is the term. So if you can get a term over like 5 years, then I'd say you're good. You don't want to have something that's very short term in case something were to happen short term, and you get in trouble with the banks. But over long enough time frame, you're gonna make out like a bandit on anytime you're doing that. Bitcoin baby, you're not counting Bitcoin diminishing returns. Why would it diminish? I see no future where Bitcoin diminishes. What's the opposite of diminish? That's what it's going to do. You know why? Because nobody's here yet. And everybody's going to be here. That's why. Very, very simple explanation to understand, I think. Nobody's here. Everybody's going to be here. That's why there's going to be no diminishing returns. I mean, we're probably not going to see a 20,000% increase over a year, but look at the charts, bro. Okay. What charts? Yeah, of course it's not going to return. That's built into the 10-year average. 60%. It's that number won't go down for at least a decade. At least a decade. I think it'll go higher actually. And if I'm wrong, who cares? What's the difference between 60 and 40? You're still much ahead, much further ahead. Money from real estate will flow into Bitcoin. 100%. Let's take a look at that right now actually. I got where are we here? I don't think it's a bot. I've seen this profile a couple places now. One of those people, one of those people you wouldn't invite to a party. We'll just say that. BB is letting the price tag affect logic. Yeah, exactly. Gold market cap 23 trillion. Real estate, there's about $400 trillion that will flow into that. But I want to show you this. I want to talk about real estate, actually. We'll start with that today. Start with that. Hey, Eddie. Oh, what happened here? Eddie Jordan. Hey, George, checking in today. Thanks for all your work. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. Duncan's in the chat. Good morning, my friend. Sent. Oh, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Okay. It's funny when Bitcoin kind of goes sideways for a while. Everybody comes out of the woodworks and saying, we're not going back up. It's gonna be here. Somebody said that we're gonna be around 100K for like the next decade. Forget who that was and where that was, but that might have been War Room, actually. It might have been War Room last week. Okay, sorry. Forgot to press send here this morning. Drafts, send. Okay. Actually, we'll put that on pause for a sec while this pulls through. Bodie says, Trueflation was an interesting chart I recently learned about. It takes a good look at the true inflation rate. Yeah, I mean, whether we're talking about real estate would be the big one. I think that that's one of the biggest misconceptions in the financial world is that real estate's a good investment because it's appreciated in price so much. But if you look at the charts between inflation and housing prices, they're pretty much identical, which means that the only reason why house values are going up, why prices are going up, is because they've created an equal amount of money. Plus, as all the other costs go up, it makes it pretty difficult for not only owning a house, but also owning real estate, which is what we're talking about right here. Real estate is the biggest shitcoin. I don't know if it's the biggest one, but it's definitely the most misunderstood. That's what I would say. Oh, how come we're laggy here? What the heck's going on? I don't know. Okay, let's check this out. So this is an article from Zero Hedge. Really laggy right now. Why? Why so laggy? Anyways, we'll keep her going here. U.S. housing market may finally see relief as foreign buyers, illegals, and Airbnbs disappear. So U.S. housing market may finally see relief. What does that mean? What does that mean? Relief means there's probably going to be some price drops in real estate. So it says one of the most detrimental consequences of the stagflationary surge in the U.S. since 2020 was the meteoric rise in housing prices, from rentals to purchases to mortgage across all markets. At present, the cost of housing stands around 30% of the average American's income, with home prices and rentals seeing at least a 60% increase in only 5 years. And in high traffic markets, the prices have jumped far higher. Says there may, however, be a light at the end of the tunnel with new developments suggesting a decline in housing costs is on the way, which means the demand for real estate is about to drop. And the reason for that is tariffs, which is weird. Apparently, there's a bunch of Canadians now who are selling their houses because they're afraid. Here, let me show you the part here. Where was it? Right here. The U.S. and foreign media have these people terrified that there's a wave of Canadian hate rolling through the American heartland. So I didn't know this, but Canadians are the largest foreign property buyers, taking up 13% of all home purchases in the U.S. I didn't know that. So the uncertainty, the tariffs, the deportation of illegal immigrants means there's a bunch more real estate available. To that, I say good. And I think that one of the things that Bitcoin's going to do that a lot of people aren't really putting together yet is that it's going to, obviously the prices in houses have been falling in comparison to Bitcoin. But as the sell-off continues, a lot of that money is actually going to flow into Bitcoin. This capital that was sitting in real estate, it was sitting in there because real estate was the best way to store value for the wealthy people. You got too much cash, you don't want to keep it in a checking account. I think that most wealthy people understand inflation and not wanting to hold their wealth in fiat dollars, so they put it into real estate. And by putting it into real estate, that means that they drove up the prices, artificially increased the demand for real estate, driving up the prices and making it less and less affordable for somebody who actually wants to live in one of those houses, not just store value in it. But there's a lot of people out there who actually want to live in these houses who couldn't afford to do it because of all this, because real estate was being used as a store of value. So what's going to happen is that as that starts to, it's going to be a cascading effect too. Once there's more and more reports like this, once the demand increases and there's a whole bunch of supply of real estate on the market, a lot of that money is just going to flow into Bitcoin. And that's a good thing. Because again, as that happens, the housing prices will fall, more people will be able to afford a house, and homes will actually be used what they were meant to be used for, which is to live in. Not to store wealth in, but to live in. So I think that that is actually an underappreciated aspect of Bitcoin, is that it's going to allow more people to actually be able to own and live in a house, as opposed to just buying it, visiting there once a week, and just storing your cash and letting it go up in price along with inflation. So that's going to be pretty big for real estate, in my opinion, or for Bitcoin. I mean, as that money flows out of real estate, because real estate people aren't dumb. They built up a lot of wealth. They just needed a place to store that wealth. And before Bitcoin, there wasn't a better option than real estate. But when you have somebody with a bunch of capital, a wealthy person with a bunch of capital, and they look at these two things here side by side objectively, and they see that their real estate portfolio has gone up in value with inflation, and they see their costs, their utilities, their insurance, their property taxes also going up with that as well. So their expenses have increased. And you can only raise your rent so high before people say, I can't afford that. Especially with the immigrate or the what would it be called? Emigration, people leaving. There's going to be less people renting houses. There's going to be less demand for rent. So expenses are up. Rents, you can only, I mean, not only because of demand, but there's a lot of laws that prevent landlords from raising their rent too much, too fast. And so they're going to look at something like their income statement and say, okay, I made what, 5% this year, 10% this year? Whereas Bitcoin historically, again, has gone 50, 60% per year. And you don't have to worry about tenants. You don't have to worry about cost increase. And you know that a lot of that money that was in real estate is also going to flow into Bitcoin, which is also going to increase the value of that. So it's going to happen. It's really just a matter of people figuring this out. That's kind of the lag here right now, is that most people don't see this. All right, what do we got here? Tom says we are at 4%. It's just been hammered into her that real estate is king. Well, I mean, it was. That's what you have to remember here. Real estate for wealthy people was the best place to store value. It was. It's not anymore, but people just haven't figured that out yet. And that's the whole opportunity here. Don't count the days, make the days count. Yes, that is great advice there, Duncan. Absolutely true. As the debt market implodes, money will leave stocks to Bitcoin. Yeah, money's going to leave stocks. It's going to leave bonds. It's going to leave real estate. It's going to leave gold. And it's all flowing into Bitcoin. That's the good news. Dat. Hello, George. Something comforting about a daily Bitcoin stream. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, there's enough stuff to talk about here. So we got no signs of slowing down. Haven't checked the price in months. Not a relevant data point at the moment. 100%. Jimmy says, morning, Jor. I heard you say Bitcoin is the new clock and have been trying to grapple with this idea. Can you elaborate? Bitcoin is the new clock. What was the context I said that in? I don't really remember myself. Because of the time chain? I mean, that's essentially what Bitcoin has done, and that's what Satoshi has done too, is they've basically made their own time, the new time, the time chain, block height. I've talked about a few different ideas within this concept. The one that I can think of off the top of my head right now is that time as we know it, like, 9:03 a.m. on April 21st, 2025, time as we know it. I think that here's the concept that I had. I said that because of the way we count our time in seconds, right? You're meeting somebody at 9 o'clock at this spot, and if they're late by a minute, you're mad. But why are you mad? Because they're late 1 minute. Okay. Well, you have to understand that the only reason why people would be mad about something like that is because they have more things to do. And I think that the time and the fiat system has created this world of just like go as fast as you can. And jam as many meetings as you can into a day, because there's only so much time in a day. And the reason why we feel that way is because we're working harder and harder and harder. We're trying to jam more things into this because everything is going up in cost. And our time can't keep up with that costs that are going up, those costs that are going up. And I think that when we get to a Bitcoin standard, when we get back to a hard money standard, I think that that's going to slow time down. Because when you're thinking about things in 10-minute increments versus 1 second increments, the world looks a lot different, right? And I know that this is we're not even close to this yet, but let's say that the world operated on the Bitcoin time chain instead of the standardized time that we use now. You could say, okay, well, Jimmy, I'm going to meet you at the park at block height 889522, something like that. So because there would be such a variance there could be like 20-minute difference there. You just meet someone there and it's going to be around that time. And you don't have so much stuff jammed into your day that you're okay just sitting there for 10, 20 minutes, whatever it is, because you're not as rushed. Your clock isn't moving as fast. You don't have to work as hard just to survive. And I feel like that's what the majority of people, the world that they live in right now, is that they're just so caught up. There's not enough time in the day because they can't work hard enough to keep up with the costs of their local environment. So I think that if we went to something like the time chain, again, I'm not proposing this happens next week, but if we use something like that, I think that the world would look a lot different, because we wouldn't be in a rush. We could just enjoy ourselves a little bit more. Instead of sitting there on the bench and somebody's 30 seconds late and you're tapping your toe and you're getting stressed out, you're just like, whatever, I'm meeting this person here today. Later in the day, I have another, something else to do, but it's not like bang, 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 just barely working as hard as you possibly can and getting nowhere with it. That was kind of one of the concepts I have between the standardized time and the time chain that we have, is that the time we have now, everything is happens so fast. Whereas, if you just take a step back and say, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, who cares? But it would just be a much different world. And I think we're going to get there. I think it's just going to take quite a while because it's so much different than where we are today. Oh, Chris says, dude, I have a zillion small purchases on ShakePay. No way will an account or me find the average cost. Hodler for me or Dubai. Yeah, that's the nice thing about it, is that you can either hodl, you can try to wait out the government, the current policy, or you can move. And I think that anybody who pays taxes on Bitcoin is a dipshit. Sorry for anybody who has done that. I do not believe in that at all. Paying tax on an increase on anything. And real estate is one of those things. That's like the biggest scam that has ever happened to the world. It's like somebody buys a house, whether it's a personal house or a rental house, and they've taken their after-tax dollars to buy that house. And that house goes up in value. And they sell that house and they get taxed because the property went up in value. Why did it go up in value? Because the government printed more money. So the government printed more money, artificially increased the price of that house. And you have to now pay another tax on the difference there, strictly because the government printed more money. So the government printed money, they made your life more expensive, plus whatever you're storing your wealth in that you already paid tax on, because it went up in price, you have to pay a tax on that. So you got taxed on the initial investment, you were paying after-tax dollars. You got taxed by the inflation that the government created more money. Everything around you costs more. You have to work harder for less. And now you have to pay a tax when you dispose of that asset because the government printed money. The capital gains tax is the biggest scam that has ever existed before. But it's just been normalized and standardized by people. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So I don't believe in paying tax on houses or Bitcoin or anything. We should be paying a very, very, very small tax on income. That's it. There should be no sales tax. There should definitely be no carbon tax. There should be no property tax. There should be no real estate transfer tax. There should be no goods and services tax. None of that should exist. The only reason why those exist is because our governments have increased way bigger than what we need them to be. Shouldn't be capital gains tax. There shouldn't be tax on Bitcoin. There shouldn't be tax on any of that. So I'm willing to wait it out personally. Fuck them. I'm not giving them a cent. Judson Quinn, been busy. Haven't been able to tune in lately. Glad to be here today. Good to have you, Judson. Good name. I'd rather live in an RV anyways than a house. I can't say I agree with you there. But both. Have a house, have an RV someday. Lapad, it would be easier for me to move to a country without a cap gains than to figure out my cost base. Yeah, me too. That's true. Bitcoin baby, what do we have now? So then who's going to own the land and buildings? You're not thinking logically. It will flow into gold if it does like it's doing now. What? Bitcoin makes the middleman irrelevant. Absolutely. Cash flow is better than hopium on price rise. So give up my $1 million cash flow income to buy Bitcoin. So how would I continue to buy Bitcoin? Okay, that's enough. This doesn't even make sense. Nothing that you're saying right now makes any sense. You don't have to give up your cash flow. You can put a portion of it into Bitcoin and get exposure to the price appreciation that will outpace the appreciation of your property long term. Yep. Here's my experience with cash flow in real estate. I had a rental house. It was a beautiful rental house, actually. Red brick, corner lot. I could have sold the property, sold the lot for put like what's a fourplex? Beautiful lot, corner lot, red brick. Is about 100 years old, and I was making decent cash flow on it. Let's say I was like I just had one of them. So let's say I was making $500 per month, which I wasn't, but let's say that I was. That's great. But people don't factor their time into that, their own time, their costs of finding tenants, of answering tenants, of the bookkeeping aspect of it, everything like that. If you're handy, if you want to save some costs, people don't factor their time into that for one. But the other thing too, let's say that I made $500 a month for 10 years. What would that get me? 5,000, about 50,000 bucks. If I did everything right and I, was earning, I had no vacancies, $50,000 for 10 months or 10 years. That's great. But now, after the 10 years, I need a new roof and I need a new water heater and I need a new deck and I need a new this. All of these things that you need, you have to pay for everything that you made for the last 10 years. And nothing that you put into that house in the terms of a new roof or anything like that, it doesn't actually add any value to the house. It just basically allows you to, your tenants not to complain and sue you. So yeah, the cash flow in real estate, that's a scam too. Be for gold, not against Bitcoin. Bitcoin requires an investment and attention, not just cash. Yeah, I think they're just bored and looking for something to do. They're not raising any legitimate points here. So I will stop wasting my time. Good morning, bright and orange. That's right. 16 years ago, a pound of gold bought you much Bitcoin. Now a pound won't buy you one. Ponder that. Rock Creations. Good morning. Jimmy says, meeting at approximate times is how we used to do things and things worked out. I see what you mean. No. Here in, is that Wisconsin? No. What's WA? Proposing 100% craft beer tax. Nice. Nice. Here we go. Yeah, they're triple dipping. Exactly. That's a great way to put it. It's absolutely insane. Good morning, Nick. I agree with you. I do agree. Hey, look at this. We got some action over in the Zap stream. Plunger and Daniel. Look at that. Got some zaps for the dogs. Starting to get pretty pissed off here. This has been a regular thing here lately. Anyways, I don't know where I left off there. But anyways, just wanted to say thank you to Daniel. 880 sats for the dogs. Plunger, 888 sats for the dogs. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate that. Sabian says, I don't remember anyone helping me make that money. Why would I owe them anything? Exactly. F the government, catch me if you can. 100%. Ian says, true life is nonstop to keep up with bills and keeping my head above water. Got into Bitcoin as a savings plan for my family and me. But Bitcoin is so much more. It's hope for us all and the future. Amen. Bullseye. People with $1 million cash flow don't hang out in YouTube live chats. That's true. Cash flow is so specific. You might not be making any money. Exactly. Jay says, most of us will be multimillionaires. No cash flow, pure liquid. We will continue to be in YouTube chats. Cheers. Yeah, Bitcoiners don't realize how rich they are. That's a sad thing and scary thing to me. Because there's a lot of people with a lot of Bitcoin out there who see it for their fiat value and not what it's actually worth. And they're taking shortcuts everywhere. So yes, that is a great point. The king will never be happy with just 1 pound of flesh. Yep, they won't stop until everybody's completely sucked dry. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about today? Oh man, this is laggy. I'm starting to get pissed here. What can I do? What can I do? Whoa. It's incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating. Okay, I'm going to try to change. I'm going to try to close a few tabs here and see if that helps. It should. Twitter. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Just don't want to keep cutting out here while I'm talking. It's very annoying. Anyways, keep going. Okay, I wanted to share this one because it is Easter Monday today. Didn't have to do a show today. That would have been the easy way out. That's a holiday. Don't need to do a show today. But if you've been around here for a while, we don't take the easy way. Okay, check this out. Block 666. This is awesome. So I saw this somebody posted this on Twitter the other day, and I don't have the tweet or anything, but I'll show it to you live and living color here. So the cool thing about the Bitcoin blockchain is you can go use something like mempool.space, and you can type in any block height, and you can go right there. So this was back in January 2021. And I think everybody watching here knows what the 666 stands for. So somebody gave it right back. And here it is right here. Somebody left an inscription or a little message on the Bitcoin blockchain. It says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12:21. And that's what we named the show today, Overcome Evil with Bitcoin. So a couple different things on this. First thing I'd say is that it's so cool to me that you can leave a note, leave information, because you have to remember that. Keep in mind here, I know it's easy to get kind of distracted and confused with a lot of things, but keep in mind here that all the Bitcoin blockchain is just a bunch of information. It's just a bunch of data. That's it. But that data can never be changed. That's kind of the value add there. You can inscribe something like this into the Bitcoin time chain, and it will literally be there forever. Do you know why? Because every 10 minutes, as more information, more data gets added to the Bitcoin blockchain, that information gets put into a block. And once that block has been mined, it gets broadcast out to every single person in the Bitcoin network running a node. And so if you want to change something, if you want to erase something on there, you would have to go to every single person and ask them to do that, or every single entity and ask them to do that. So not only will your transaction, the value that you sent or received from somebody else, live there forever, but you can also put any sort of information that you want to on the Bitcoin blockchain. And as long as there's a miner willing to put that into a block, it will live there forever. And so I thought it was pretty poetic that on block 666, that was the message. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And there's been a lot of comparisons and people who think that Bitcoin is very spiritual. They look at it through a spiritual lens. And I can't say I disagree with that. I think that there's definitely something there. Because the way I look at it is fiat money itself is the most evil thing that exists. And Bitcoin's sole purpose is to eliminate that, to eliminate centralized authority, to separate money from state and to ensure that the money printer stops. Because in my opinion, everything that's bad in the world right now, everything. Oh, I didn't even know Arnie was here. Hey, buddy. Everything that's bad in society right now comes from giving a small group of people the ability to print money. So Bitcoin gets rid of that. So that's why I titled the show today, Overcome Evil with Bitcoin, because I think that Bitcoin is the cure. Bitcoin is the antidote to centralized authority, to the money printer, to them being able to control minds and control people with a fake currency. Lapad says, house should be like cars. When you drive a new one off the lot, you're expected to lose value immediately. Why should a house that has been lived in by 8 different tenants over 3 decades be worth more? Exactly. That's one aspect of it. Another aspect is that with technology, it should be cheaper and cheaper to build a house. The cost of a house should not go up. We have the ability not only to accrue resources, the wood that goes into the house, the concrete, the finishings, the marble countertop. With technology, it should be cheaper and cheaper to extract those resources and put them into a house. Plus, with the technology, it should require less humans. It should be more efficient. The costs of houses should go down, not up. This is exactly right. Exactly right. Here's a 3-decade-old car that had 3 previous owners. Needs to be completely regutted and built from the frame, $100K. Right. But that's all. It's just the fiat world. That's all it is. The only reason why, and the crazy thing is that even vehicles are starting to go up in value now too. If you bought a car, let's say in 2020, and you drove it for a couple of years, you would probably actually, I don't know if it'd be more, but it'd be very close to going up in value, which we know that that's not the case. It never has been. But the only reason it is because they're printing so much money and everything costs more. It's just crazy. It's crazy that, we're still just going along this road and pretending that this is a normal thing that's happening. It's insane to me. And people know it too. People know that they're printing a lot of money. People know that them printing money is a problem, but they're not doing a fucking thing about it. That's what bothers me. Just keeping your head in the sand and hoping that, it doesn't catch up to you too bad. And as long as you got some money in the bank, and as long as your house keeps going up in value, then who cares? Like that meme from the weekend of that liberal, the double birds. That's exactly how it feels. These people know that it's a problem. These people know that they created this problem and they're voting for this problem to continue because who cares? I got a house. My house has gone up 100% in the last decade. Fuck you. I'm going to vote for more money printing because it's going to keep inflating the house of my price or the price of my house. It just, it's disgusting. Bodhi says, share Jer's YouTube channel on your social media. Lots more people with common sense out there that haven't heard logical sense about Bitcoin from Jor. That's the problem, is that nobody cares. I shouldn't say nobody cares. There's a lot of people who care. There's a lot of people who are fed up and pissed off about it. And that's why there's so many good Bitcoiners from Canada, is because we've had enough. So it's taken longer than I would like it to and that I would expect it to, but it's happening either way. So I would appreciate it. I mean, there's a lot you can do without financially supporting the show. You can do things like that. If you believe in the message that we're trying to promote here, then definitely share it on whatever avenues you can. Thank you, Bodhi. And I see some zaps came in here too. Sorry, I was kind of ranting there. Oh, look at this. We got a couple DCAs here. Our dollar coffee averages. Wow, that something just happened here because the price must have crashed in the last 5 minutes. Let me look at this. And the reason I say that is because, let's see here. This was at 9:22, so 5 minutes ago. Looks like LaPad zapped the dollar coffee. Geez, that's hard to say. Dollar coffee average. Then we got 3,422 sats. And then the same minute, I don't know how that makes any sense. It looks like another coffee was zapped for 3,551 sats. So that's a 100 sat swing in a minute. We got more sats, which means the price crashed. Unless that's a different zap. Because it doesn't, yeah. Holy, it's ripping though. Look at that, that's a great number. $88,000 Bitcoin today. And we got a couple more zaps here that I saw for the dogs. We got 10,000 sats. Look at that. That's higher than a legendary zap around here. 10,000 sats. I don't know who that was from. It just says credit. So thank you for that. And we got 420 sats as well, anonymously, and 888 sats to our guy, Arnie's wallet. Him on screen brought out a few zaps, I guess. Can you see him there? No, you can't. Hold on. Good morning. Good morning, sleepyhead. Look at him. Oh, big stretch. Big stretch for Arnie. All right. I had more to talk to. Today. Ooh, let's maybe save that one. There was another one though. Where was that one? Oh, right here. Okay, good. Jimmy says COVID-19 was the biggest wealth transfer of all time. Hold my beer, Bitcoin. Amen to that. Amen to that. All right, let's get through a few more of these messages here. How's Zapstream doing? Pretty quiet. Pretty quiet over on the Zapstream today. That's okay. We got a good crew over in YouTube. Quick laughs, Bitcoin. Tom says, how much did it cost to leave a message? Amos46, I would love to sponsor that onto a block someday. Well, let's check it out. See how much it cost. I mean, this is what you got to keep in mind here with Bitcoin, right? It factors a couple different things. Number one is how much demand there are, right, for Bitcoin. So let's go to the mempool. And I mean, it's different at this time, but it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of demand for Bitcoin right now. I shouldn't say that. What do we got there? About 10, 20, 30,000 transactions. That's actually up from last week significantly. So there's about 30,000 transactions waiting in the mempool right now. Keep in mind here, every time you send a Bitcoin transaction, the first place it goes is into the mempool. And that transaction will sit there until you're willing to pay a fee high enough to get that transaction put into a block. So it's based on, number one, demand. And number two is the size of your transaction. So that's why when you have like 20 UTXOs, that's just a bunch of data, right? Every UTXO is more data. And so the more UTXOs you have within that transaction, the more it's going to cost you. Or if you want to add something like a message to it, that's more data. So it's going to cost you more fees. So that message, I think, let's take a look at this block here. So this was, again, back in 2021, block 666,666. And it looks like the fees, the low was 40 sats per VByte. So the demand for block space in this specific block, and that's usually how it is with like let's say 600, block 600,000, block 800,000. There's usually people wanting to inscribe things into those blocks because they're more memorable. So I don't know what the fees would have been like overall here. We can maybe look at that after, but in this specific block, the fees were about 40 to 1800 sats per VByte, average fee of 42 sats per VByte, which is pretty high considering right now it is, what was it? Like 2? So the total fees for this, BTC.com got half a Bitcoin in fees. And the subsidy, this was before the halving, the last halving, the miner got 6.79 Bitcoin total for $241,000. That's what it was worth at the time, 241,000. So, I mean, if we compare that, actually, we'll leave that there for a sec. But this transaction here, you can see that they paid 597 sats per VByte. They wanted to make sure that that message got into that block. So they had to pay 600 sats per VByte, or 135,000 sats, which at the time cost $48, but today would cost about 125 US dollars for that message to be put in there. And in the future, it'll be like $135,000 to put that message in there. But at the time, I mean, when you can swap that amount of fiat for Bitcoin, that's all it's worth. So going back to this, they got 6.79 Bitcoin for mining this block, and that was worth 241,000. So let's look at the last block here. Less Bitcoin, about half, actually less than half, 3.185 Bitcoin. That's what Via BTC got for mining this last block, and that was worth 277,000. So even though they got less Bitcoin, their dollars have increased actually since 2021, obviously because the price of Bitcoin went up. So that's how it works. That's how this the Bitcoin blockchain works. Kind of cool if you're a nerd. Jimmy, what message would you leave on the time chain? Oh, Antpool just mined the block. We missed it. What message would I leave on the time chain? Oh, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. I think the message that I would leave off the top of my head would be make yourself uncomfortable because comfort causes the spirit to die. That's what I would, and maybe that's what I'll ask to put on my tombstone too. I just love that. Make yourself uncomfortable because comfort causes the spirit to die. And I think if you're a Bitcoiner, you would resonate with that because it's not comfortable being in Bitcoin. It's the furthest thing from being comfortable. Because you're basically in that meme, you're that one person yelling at hundreds of thousands of people, telling them that you're wrong. Everybody's facing you. You're the only one with a yelling at them saying you're wrong. It's a hard place to be. And there's a reason why there's such an opportunity right now is because not a lot of people are here. Not a lot of people are willing to put in the time and energy and effort to understand Bitcoin. So that's what I would say. And I think that obviously applies to Bitcoin, but it applies to anything in life. Unless you're willing to do stuff that other people aren't willing to do, you're going to be exactly the same as everybody else. And the more you challenge yourself to make yourself uncomfortable every single day, I think that's the best way to grow as a person. And it says, because comfort causes the spirit to die. When you're always challenging yourself, when you're always making yourself uncomfortable, that's how you grow. That's what keeps that fire in there lit, in my opinion, from my experience. When you're complacent, when you're just doing things because it's easy, that's not any sort of life. That's a wasted life, in my opinion. So that's what I would say. Make yourself uncomfortable because comfort causes the spirit to die. Men write books. Bitcoin doesn't care about your sentiments. Dickie Greenleaf, back to 88K for the 88 Sats crew. She's buzzing. She's buzzing. Anyways, so whoever sent that other zap there, the 3551, I don't know if that's a Kofifi zap or if that was a coffee. If it was a coffee, then that was a massive swing in less than a minute. It changed by 100 sats. So kind of cool. That's why I like the DCA, the dollar coffee average. Fiat is death. Got to work on that. Be for Bitcoin, not against fiat. I'm a hypocrite working on it. I'm against fiat. I have no issues being against fiat. I think it's the most evil thing that has ever existed in this planet. It's allowed for evil to reign. Everything. And this is why. Because when you have the ability to print money, obviously you're going to have control and influence and power. Obviously. I mean, that goes without saying. But if you think about how much that fiat money has infiltrated all levels of our society, from politicians to CEOs to entertainers, because that's the thing. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I think it's worth talking about again. Because when you think about these different entities like governments and like big corporations that we know are evil, not because of the business or the industry that they're in, but because of the fiat incentives attached, because not every person within those entities are bad people, right? When we're talking about the governments, when we're talking about big corporations, when we're talking about the pharmaceutical companies, when we're talking about the military, all these different things, within each of those entities is just a bunch of people. It's all it is. Just a bunch of people like you and I. But fiat allows for incentives at high levels to give commands and directions down to their inferiors there, to their subordinates, which means that if you want to infiltrate a company or an organization, all you have to do is incentivize the people at the top or blackmail them and say, if you do this, we'll give you this amount of money. And that's the funniest thing to me. Everybody, I know global supply, monetary supply is a good indicator. But my theory is that if they tell us that there's $100 trillion of fiat in the world, that means there's probably 500 trillion of fiat in the world. They lie at every single level, and they can create this without us knowing about it. That's the whole problem here. So it seems insane how much fiat there is and how much debt that there is, but that's like a very small scale if you knew the reality of things. So they incentivize. They say, here's $2 million. Tell your people to do this. Here's a picture of you doing this, or here's a video of you doing this. Now tell these 1,000 people under you to do this direction. And those 1,000 people underneath that person, they have no choice. There's going to be a couple who say, no, I'm not doing that. It's against my moral compass. But the majority of people will not question that. The majority of people will do that because they need to feed their family. And they think that doing something to feed their family makes it morally okay. And it's not. And so when you take that away from somebody, when you take that ability to create money away, it changes everything. It changes the whole dynamic of this planet. So I am 100% against fiat. I am. I think it's the worst thing that has ever existed in humanity. Green light. Big fan. Antonio, thank you. Good to see you. I'm a big fan of you too, my friend. If you're spending your morning watching a Bitcoin live stream, trying to better yourself, trying to help yourself and your family for the future, I'm a big fan of you. Jimmy says, as a carpenter, I can confidently say we live in fiat's false reality where I have the capacity to build a multi-million-dollar home, but cannot afford one. This does not reflect natural law. Exactly. Fiat is not natural. It's the opposite of natural. That's the problem. And eventually, even though I left off there again. But what I was saying is that everything eventually goes back to nature. And that's what we're going through right now. It's painful, but we're getting there. Not angry about it anymore. I mean, yeah, that's the hard part. Is like you have to find that balance between not getting too angry, not stressing out too much about it, but also being pissed off enough to, try to make a difference in the world. Because we are all just nodes, right? We take in information, we give out information, we take in energy, we give out energy. We're all the same. We are all one. And the outcomes are based on our own thoughts and what we decide, the decisions we make each day. And there's been too many people for too long that have just gone along with things to get along. And I hope that time's over. And I'm doing my best to combat it. Bodhi says, if you were able to buy a beautiful but trashed house in a nice area for $10K, for example, and you had stacked your trade skills, you could build your family's wealth. Love the Romans verse. Absolutely, Bodhi. Whistling in the dark has become a national pastime in the United States. Greg's take on the dangers of toxic positivity in America's culture. Toxic positivity. Does that mean like supporting things that we should not be supporting? Is that what that means? I don't know. I don't really get that one. I think that's what it means. Veterans. No point in being a veteran in fiat world. What's the point? Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing that's happening right now. There's a lot of very pissed off veterans who are beginning to realize that every war is just a banker's war fought over nothing really. It's all just lies. And not only did they have to go over and fight for something, bankers' wars, but they get treated like absolute shit. And that's a massive problem. And if there's one thing that I would change about society, the first thing, if I was president tomorrow, that's the first thing that I would change. Because these people did not deserve to be in that war to begin with, or whatever you want to call it. 20 years of laundering money. But not only did they not deserve to be there, they should be treated better than anybody else for having to go through that. And it seems like they get treated the worst out of anybody. So that's the first thing that I would change. Number 2 would probably be convert a lot of commercial real estate into homeless shelters and dog shelters. And number 3 would be ending the Fed. Might think that'd be number 1, but I think that veterans, homeless, and dogs are more of a priority. That would be day 1. Then everything you could adjust after that. But that's something that you need to change instantly. FIL loves to talk about the biggest wealth transfer in history. No idea about Bitcoin, but has 3 mortgages. Who's FIL? Yeah, there's so many people who are short Bitcoin right now who think that they're doing well. I saw such a good clip on that the other day. I forget what that was from. I got to find that clip. Shit. It's the hoodie. Yeah, it seems to work out. The market reacts to the orange hoodie. Looks me dead in the face and says, boomers have all the money. What will you do with it when we die? Like they are the first people in existence. Isn't that true? And I don't mean to shit on all baby boomers. I think that's the worst thing you can do, because there's a lot of baby boomers in this chat who show up here every day and who are not only buying Bitcoin, but actively trying to support Bitcoiners, whether they're starting a channel, whether they're supporting people who are talking about Bitcoin. There's a lot of baby boomers in here who are trying to fix things. But there's a lot of baby boomers out there who are the opposite of that, who are the problem. Not only did they were part of the problem, but they're wanting to further the problem for their own selfish benefit. Don't forget to holy. All right, what are more? Seems like it, doesn't it? I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems that way. Jimmy says that would mean discomfort causes the spirit to come alive. Yes. Yes. A lot of philosophers would have said what you said in a different way. Well, I didn't come up with that. I forget where that came from, but that's I didn't come up with that. I can't take credit for it, but it's my favorite quote. I think it's very true. Move into a wine barrel and throw out your water cup. Exactly. Dickie. Holy, this is just like incredibly painful right now. I'm doing my best here. I'm doing my best to keep it together, but we're getting close to something happening here. Dickie says, as a skater, I definitely resonate with staying out of comfort zones. The world pushes on, so must you. Yes. A cleaner machine, I figured that was you, but I didn't know if it was a coffee or not. Was it? Was that a coffee zap, or just that you chose that amount? Either way, thank you. Jimmy says, when you realize that work is the point of when, then you will never be a slave. Man will work for shells, for fiat, for nothing, just to survive because someone told them to. It's inevitable. True. That's true. Absolutely true. Hold on. What do we got for time here? Ooh, 1:13 already. Wow. Oh yeah, actually, this is what I want to talk about mostly here. So I'm going to get through these chats quickly, and then we're going to talk about one more topic here, which to me is the most important one of the day. Cloud Mining Pro. Hey, brother, hoping Upu too. Okay, let's try this again. Hey, brother, hope you're having a good day. Watching on Bitcoin skyrocket today sure is satisfying. Yeah, I'm very torn right now because I have some things that I have to do in Bitcoin, and I'm hoping to get more sats. But I'm also happy because Bitcoin going up means there's new people interested, which means there's going to be more green lights coming on. Neo says, what are your thoughts on the cold card new teleport feature? Honestly, I haven't had a second to look into it yet. Sounds promising, though. Sounds promising. Bodhi says, civilizations are built by men with families to feed. True. Extra sat for the extra wisdom. Oh, Tom, did you send a zap in? Sorry, I missed a couple here. Oh, this one was a while ago. Sorry. Oh, from Ian. Look at that. 1,888 sats for Arnie and friends. Love Ian. Thank you, Ian. Cloud Mining Pro says, I'm a plumber by trade, make very solid money, but a mortgage where I live is double the rent with our interest rates. It would take 80% of my income after insurance, HOA, etc. Wild. They print money for their own good. Iraq cost the US $800 million a day for 8 years straight, only because they printed the money. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Hey, look who it is. Bit Billy. Hello, everybody. Oh, Arnie's whining. We don't need that, buddy. We're not doing that. Right? No. I love how uncomfortable Arnie gets when you just stare at him. Goes back to bed. Oh, man. All right. Toxic positivity is always being positive. Seems fake to only be in one emotional state constantly. True. I think the best state you can be in is just somewhere in between. That's what I've found. That's basically what stoicism is. You don't get too high, don't get too low. You just accept what is. Yeah, sorry, Rock Creations. Got to go. Everyone have a wonderful day. I'm having to sell some Bitcoin today, but I'm paying off my home property. So not sure how to feel, but happy, I guess. It's interesting. Somebody had a good chat with somebody last week. Said that they're going to be buying Bitcoin and then selling some of it off to pay off their mortgage. And I said, that's kind of what I thought too when I first got into Bitcoin, is that I would sell some Bitcoin, pay off my mortgage, and, do things properly as I've been trained to do. But I think that that's actually a bad strategy. I don't think that you should sell your Bitcoin to pay off your mortgage, because again, going back to our earlier conversation, Bitcoin goes up. Bitcoin has increased 50% every year. That's the income. That's what your wealth is going up every single year you hold Bitcoin. And by owning a house, you pay 5%. So you're making 50% with one, you're paying 5% for the other. Why would you trade an asset that you're making 50% per year on for an asset that costs you 5% a year? That spread doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I get it. People like to, they hate death. They're scared of it. But to me, it's just all an illusion anyways. Who cares? Who cares? It's all fake, all based on an illusion. Work is the point of work. True. It's what humans were designed to do. It's just that, our work has been devalued. Our time has been devalued significantly by fiat. Ian says, in the UK, we have the Poppy Appeal for war past and present war veterans. 5% of the homeless in the UK are veterans. Absolutely disgusting. Neo says, houses in the US are made with silly putty and plywood. You are buying the world's biggest scam because the banks won't want you in a death contract. Yes. Isn't that what mortgage actually means? A death contract? And to me, I'm fine with that. I would extend my mortgage to 60 years if I could, because I don't care. It's all based on fake money. I don't care. If I could take out a 60-year mortgage and buy Bitcoin with that, I would do that in a second. I'm in zero rush to pay this thing off. Zero. Why would I? They can't raise rates from here. If they do, the whole economy is going to implode. So I'm going to be stuck around here paying 5% in a currency that is losing value by the day, instead of selling the asset that's everybody's going to want, that's going to go up forever, and is returning 50 to 60% a year. We do a fundraiser for this charity in the cafe. Oh, nice. That's awesome, Ian. It feels like there's a lot of people in Bitcoin who are doing good things like that. That's what I love about Bitcoiners. Tom says, on some platforms I'm Tom and some I go by the old handle Segarinth. It's probably how my Zap shop. Oh, it doesn't say where they come from though. That's a problem, unless it's on Zapstream. But anyways, I'm a contrarian. I like to walk backwards sometimes. It helps me figure stuff out. That's a good way to do it. Mortgage translate to death pledge in Old French. Who knew that? Jor, you scholar. I've just heard that before. I didn't know if it was actually true or not, but can confirm it. All right, let's get to this. We caught up on the messages. Oh, look at that number. Wow, that's close. This is just on my phone right now, but look at that. Oh, it was 8888. Orange hoodie. Okay, let's check this out. If my computer will cooperate with me, I really want to explain this to everybody. I think this is massive. Massive, massive, massive. All right. Let me make sure that everything's good here. This to me is the biggest signal in Bitcoin right now. This tweet, the biggest signal in Bitcoin right now. And it's from Cointelegraph. Says latest, Barry Silbert, the CEO of Digital Currency Group, said he would have made more by simply holding Bitcoin, bought at $7 or $8 in 2011 instead of investing in early crypto startups. He also called 99% of tokens worthless, stressing that most have no reason to exist. This is massive signal to me, and I'll tell you why. Number one, this Barry Silbert guy, the CEO of Digital Currency Group, they've made a fortune by screwing people over. They made a fortune by investing in all these different digital currencies. That's literally what their company's called. And he said that if they just held Bitcoin, they would have made more than all of the work that they did there. So I think that there's a couple takeaways here that I wanted to specifically point out. The first part being, this is going to be the case for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to come to this exact same realization that Bitcoin is now the new hurdle rate within anything, not just allocating capital or investing, but Bitcoin is the new hurdle rate with anything. So when you have capital to allocate and you're looking for somewhere to put that capital, and historically within businesses, some people expand, they buy their businesses, they start new projects, they come up with a new line of products, whatever that may be. When somebody has additional excess capital, they're looking to allocate it. And before Bitcoin, a lot of these different things made sense. Maybe this project was going to return 10% and then compound over time. Maybe this new business was going to earn us 20% a year to, store the value that we have and grow it. But with Bitcoin in play now, it's easier and more effective to just buy Bitcoin instead of all this other stuff. So Bitcoin is the new hurdle rate. 50 or 60% is the hurdle rate now. So unless your project, unless your expansion, unless your new line of products can outperform 60% a year, it just makes more sense to hold Bitcoin. That's what we've seen. That's what people are starting to realize. And that's what Barry said here. He said it would have made more sense for us just to hold Bitcoin instead of getting into this shitcoin casino and this shitcoin venture fund or whatever digital currency group is. It would have just been better to hold Bitcoin. So imagine that. Think about that. Think about all the work, all the energy, all the effort that they put into growing this digital currency group. Think about it. Over a decade of time, of human labor, of energy, all of that went into this. And he's saying that, you know what? We should have just held Bitcoin. Do you know why? Because unless you're adding value to the world, Bitcoin is going to beat you. And when you think about this digital currency group trading, buying, selling shitcoins, that added zero value to the world. Zero. And that's what played out. Unless your project, unless whatever you're working on can outperform 60% a year, it just makes sense to sit on it. Because why would you go through all that trouble? Hire all those people, all that marketing, all the taxes and all the financial statements and all the shit that companies have to go through. Why not just buy Bitcoin and hold on to that? That's what people are going to start to realize. And as more and more people figure that out, as more and more people have that green light come on in their mind, that's only going to increase that percentage. Because as the green lights turn on, that's more and more people with that understanding and more people who are fighting for that scarce, absolute scarce supply of Bitcoin. So that's the first part that I want to mention. But the other thing too is that this guy is literally like a king shitcoiner, Barry Silbert. And he's saying now that 99.9% of tokens are worthless, stressing that most have no reason to exist. So this guy had the realization that not only is it better just to hold Bitcoin instead of trying to do a bunch of things that brings no value to the world, but also that Bitcoin is the only thing that matters within the digital currency landscape. It's a massive deal. It's a massive realization. And this is one example of it. And there's going to be more and more and more people who figure this out. And that's only going to drive up demand for Bitcoin. And ultimately, because we cannot change the supply, the price and the value of Bitcoin going forward. So 60%, Bitcoin is the new hurdle rate. If you can't outdo that, just buy Bitcoin and hold on to it. Startups were his shitcoin experience. Yeah. Rock Creation says, the way I see paying off my mortgage is that frees up a monthly payment that I can put back into Bitcoin. It may be at a higher price, but I'll recover while having a place to go. 73, everyone. I mean, that's kind of the logic there. But in my opinion, you're never going to be able to get the sats back that you're trying to buy, especially today. If this was in a year from now and Bitcoin was like $300,000 per Bitcoin or 500,000 per Bitcoin, I might think differently about that decision. And I'm not telling you what to do here. I'm just telling you my own opinion on it. But you're never going to get the sats that you sell to pay off your mortgage. You're never going to recoup those sats. That's what doesn't really make sense to me. Why would you sell them if you're just going to use future money to try to get them back? You're trying to obtain an asset that is going to continue to go up, and you're going to get less and less sats for those dollars that you're contributing there. That's the whole point. If you sold one Bitcoin today at 84,000 and you tried to use those monthly payments to try to recover that Bitcoin, it's going to cost you more and more and more, and you're never going to get that same Bitcoin that you sold back. That's the whole reason. That's why I would never sell Bitcoin to pay off a mortgage, because you're essentially selling a real asset for a fake asset, and you're going to try to recoup that real asset, but you're never going to get the same amount back. So why not just not sell it? Why not just keep those sats? That's the disconnect for me. That's what doesn't make any sense to me. Be different if you if you had a bunch of Bitcoin and you decided that, I don't really like Bitcoin anymore. I'm kind of bored of it. I don't like the people in it. I'm going to sell it. Pay off your mortgage. Don't have to worry about it anymore. But if you're going to sell your Bitcoin to pay off a house and then try to get that Bitcoin back, that's a losing equation to me. Again, I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm just telling you what my thoughts are on it. I would never do something like that, especially where we are today, especially where we are at this point in the cycle, having gone up and then down and then sideways for a couple months. And this bull run that everybody's been talking about, in my opinion, hasn't even started yet. So if we're having this conversation in a a year from now, I might have a completely different take on that. I still probably wouldn't recommend it, but where we are today, you're selling an asset that's worth probably $2 million per Bitcoin today for 84,000. So it doesn't make any sense to me, but your world, your life, I'm just telling you my thoughts on it. I like Jack Mullers and Mike Saylors on point people in that direction, depending on their age. Sorry, I'm not, I must have missed something there. Anyways, let's wrap her up for today, I think. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? I don't know. I did. I'm going to film a video after this, though, and I'm going to post it on the 365 Days of Bitcoin. Something interesting. And I'll show you what it is and what I'm going to be talking about there. And I would strongly suggest anybody out there who's looking to become more well-rounded in Bitcoin for your security, to avoid future fees, for everything, I would strongly suggest going through the 365 Days of Bitcoin, because it's not like I sit there and, read the definition of this and then give my take on it. No, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of terminology. There's a little bit of information on security, UTXOs, private key management, all that stuff. But it's just showing examples and showing different ways to think about things within Bitcoin. Every day, every single day, you get a video for about 10 minutes talking about Bitcoin and different thought experiments around Bitcoin, different ways to think about things within Bitcoin and investing itself and the financial industry. But this is what I'm going to be talking about today on 365 Days of Bitcoin. If you know how to install TV wall mounts, charge $50 per install 10 mounts per month. That's $100K per year. And this tweet here had 17 million views. What's the math on that? Install 10 mounts per month, so that'd be $500 per month times 12 would be about $6,000 per year, not $100K per year. And I know that's the joke. I know that, tweets like this are meant to just create engagement, but I'm going to talk about why you should take this literally in 365 Days of Bitcoin and how it relates to Bitcoin. 6K. Yes, that's right. That was quick math there in the head. Rock says, I understand your perspective on the mortgage issue, but with my current situation, unfortunately, this is the solution. No problem. I mean, obviously, there's more context that I'm aware of, but in the context that I had, in terms of selling Bitcoin to just pay off your mortgage and then using the mortgage payments to buy the Bitcoin back, that makes no sense in my head. So I don't know everything that's involved, and if you need additional finances for something else, but in that specific situation of selling your Bitcoin to pay off your mortgage and then using your mortgage payments to buy Bitcoin, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm sure there's more to it that I don't know. But anyways, that's it. So if you are interested, you can join the 365 Days of Bitcoin today. You're going to get 110. Yes, that's correct. 110 Bitcoin videos, starting with the very basics to a little bit more advanced topics, to thought experiments, to things a little bit outside of Bitcoin, but that relate to Bitcoin. You get 110 videos today if you join 365 Days of Bitcoin for $21 per month. I would call that the deal of a lifetime. I used to call sats $1, you could get 1,000 sats, deal of a lifetime, but I think that this is actually the deal of a lifetime. So not only are you going to get this information on a consistent basis. And, here's the thing. You might watch 110 videos. And if you get one thing from one video that ends up being the difference of you having your Bitcoin in 20 years from now and not, I would say that that's worth it. Even if you get one thing out of all those videos, you get one thing that you change in your security setup or in the way you buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, whatever it is, think about Bitcoin. To me, that's worth it. So not only are you going to get the knowledge, but the other thing you're going to get, if you get through the whole course, you're there in December 2025, you're going to get a one-on-one session with me for one, but you're also going to get a certificate that says I passed the 365 days of Bitcoin course. And today that's worth zero, but in the future that might be worth good as gold, good as Bitcoin, we might say even. So you can join right there every single day. You get one video talking about Bitcoin, different aspects of it. So that's it. I appreciate all the support today. Very much. I appreciate you being here, even if you didn't send in any sats. Just you being here is good. But don't stop there. Share it. Leave a comment. Leave a like, whatever it is. If you believe in the message, if you want to see this network grow, if you want to get this voice to more people, easy ways to do it. So with that, I'll share a couple of fatties here today. So we had Laugh Pad with a zap, coffee zap, daily coffee average 3422, Cleaner Machine 3551, and a couple other ones here. Somebody sent in 10,000 sats, anonymous credit of 10,000 sats for the dogs. So we are a little bit below our recent average for the dogs, but that's okay. That's okay. Some is better than none. That's for damn sure. And Ian as well. I want to say thank you to Ian for 1,888 sats for the dogs. So I'll keep you guys posted with the updated amount tomorrow for the dogs. And yeah, very much appreciated. I think Arnie's gone now, but made a couple appearances today. All right. Cleaner Machine. Thanks, Joe, everyone. Have a great day. See you all tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Tuesday. Yeah, I should be here. I will be here. So have a great Easter Monday today. Thanks again for being here on your day off. And make sure to like, make sure to love, and make sure to zap. If you're watching this later, you can do that as well. So have a great day, everybody. And we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.